commentator and the host of CNN's upcoming The Van Jones Show. Van, look, I don't want sympathy. The media doesn't get it, and we shouldn't. That's not what we do. It's not just about hurt feelings. But when someone like Sheriff David Clark, for example, tweets, "When lying lib media makes up fake news to smear me, the antidote is to go right at them, punch them in the nose, and make them taste their own blood. Nothing gets a bully like lying lib media's attention better than to give them a taste of their own blood, never back down." Mm-hmm. Is that more than just rhetoric? Is that dangerous?
Look, I mean, I don't like that kind of stuff because I think it is overinflated. And the other thing, too, is Donald Trump, I don't know if he's being paid by the Democratic Party or not, but he continues to pick these fights which actually distracts from his actual success. In other words, right now, if he would be quiet, we would be forced to talk about stuff like the unemployment rate, which is pretty good, the stock market, which is pretty good. He's got stuff that he could be happy about.
You'd agree with that, I'm sure.
But he himself, and you're a conservative, you believe in personal responsibility. He's got to take some responsibility for the fact that he himself is the biggest distraction machine from himself.
Well, there's no question that there's opportunities right now, I think, both on the foreign policy angle, some of the stuff that's happening with North Korea, as well as the effects of the tax cut bill, that you're seeing these jobs, these companies provide bonuses, talk about job incentives. I agree. I mean, I think the more that we can be focusing on the good news, but Twitter has been an effective tool for him throughout the campaign, and one thing he wants to keep.
Yeah, but look, I mean, I in some ways, for the country, I don't like what he's doing with Twitter. For my party, I like what he does do because he keeps.
But let's bring hold on. So let me go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But when you talk about your party,
yes,
let's talk about what your party, because during Obama's years, you guys banned Fox News, you wiretapped and went through the emails. No, hold on. But wait a second. That's actually when all of the outrage from the press comes right now because the president's fighting back on Twitter, and yet what you guys took, you tried to kick Fox News out of a press poll.
First of all, you literally just sat here moments ago and said that you would love to be in a world where people kind of disagree, but then they support the president. And you guys spent 8 years, and Donald Trump, the worst offender, trashing President Obama every second of every day.
Hold on. So if we're talking about your president, my president as well, but your boss, was very hostile to the press in less maybe pernicious ways and overt ways than Donald Trump is. But to Sean's point, he went after the AP. He charged journalists under the Espionage Act. He sicked the DOJ on James Rosen at Fox News. He did try to ban Fox from the press pool. You can't defend that.
Well, listen, and I have not tried to defend that, but I guess what I'm trying to say is a couple of simple things. First of all, you can't have it both ways. You can't say the press is my enemy and they're doing all these terrible things and then have the worst strategy in the world. Even a normal press that was trying to give you a good way forward cannot possibly cover the good stuff when you're zigzagging all over the road. So hold on a second. I'm not here to try and defend everything that the Obama administration did. You would rather talk about stuff the Obama administration did than what's going on with Donald Trump right now. And I want to say something to you just personally, you were somebody who, as a part of the Republican establishment, came into your job with an incredible amount of esteem and respect. And I'm just going to say, as a parent, one of the things that was scariest for me during the early part of the Trump years was to see somebody who we had confidence in come out and say stuff that we knew wasn't true. And you're watching young people say, my children watching saying, but Daddy, that's not true. But Daddy, that's not true.
Did you get hold on? Did you get offended when the Obama administration officials went out and blamed Benghazi on a video? Was that equally offensive to you?
I'm going to tell you something. You guys can say Benghazi. You guys can say healthcare.
I'm just asking you the same question.
But I didn't have the opportunity that you had. I was in the lowarchy in the Obama White House. You were in the hierarchy in the Trump White House, and you were the face of our government and our president. And you came out and you said stuff that, as a parent, was very hard to explain. And so we can talk about Obama, but I'm just curious from you now as you look back, what advice would you give to somebody who has to do the job? You described that job as a tough job, and it is a tough job. But when you have somebody who doesn't have the same level, frankly, of integrity that you had, accuracy that you had, and you've got to defend them, you've got to support them, what could you do in that job differently now?
I talked about this SE just a while ago. I mean, your job is to go out. Look, I made mistakes. There's no question about it, Van. I regret some of the things that I could have done a better job in. And I think every single day, as I mentioned to SE before, hopefully we all look at ourselves as an individual and say, could I do something better? So I strive for that every single day. I think that's what we should be telling.
But do you understand from just a normal person's point of view, not a Democrat, not a Republican, but a normal parent's point of view, how tough it was to watch you go out there and say stuff that you wouldn't defend right now?
I think, again, I'd like to go back and talk about specific instances. There are some that I've said, wow, I really wish I could get a mulligan on that one. I screwed that one up, and I'm embarrassed on behalf of myself, my family, and the president. There are some of those things, absolutely. But there's plenty of times when my job was to go out and communicate the voice of what the president wanted on a particular issue or event. That's my job. And I think to the point, and I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to drag in the Obama administration, but I think at some point there are certain things that happen every administration. Unfortunately, not as many people watch the Obama administration briefings.
And, you know, the point about wanting consistency, I think, is really helpful when we have future conversations about what we want from a future president, future leadership, to remember where we came from and not sort of muddy the waters of this is a new phenomenon. It's not. It's different, yes, and we should talk about it. But we have to remember to be consistent when we talk about these things. When we come back, we'll break out our crystal balls and try to divine the future of the Democratic Party.